I never thought a 30-second video could shake me like that. But there it was, plastered across my phone screen, burning through my nerves like acid. It was early on a Thursday. I just made coffee, sat down to open some job listings, and suddenly my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Notifications piled up like hail in a thunderstorm. The people I hadn't spoken to in years were tagging me, messaging me, even sending the same link over and over with awkward emojis or cryptic one-liners. "Dude, you okay? Yikes, man, she really went there." The link took me to TikTok. My ex, Sloane Barrett, had gone viral. In the video, she sat in her apartment, the same one I helped her decorate, bathed in perfect ring light glow, sipping her matcha while lip-syncing to some trendy audio about dodging bullets. But then, she broke character and looked directly into the camera. "Some people think ambition means launching 3 apps that go nowhere while living in a sublet and wearing the same hoodie for 4 years straight." She laughed. "That's not ambition, that's delusion. But hey, chase your dreams, right?" The captions read, "POV, you left him and never looked back." The comments were ruthless, strangers cheering her on, followers laughing about her glow-up. One comment had 30,000 likes. Imagine thinking you're a tech genius but can't even afford a car. I stared at the screen, my chest tightening like it did the night she walked out. It wasn't just a dig, it was a public execution. She didn't name me, but everyone knew. Her followers, our mutuals, even people from our old co-working space. 2 million views in 2 days. It wasn't just viral, it was weaponized. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I watched it twice, then a third time. I noted the tone, the timing, the sheer joy in her delivery. I wasn't surprised. Sloane had always been good at performance. I just never thought she'd use that talent to mock me, especially after everything I did for her when she had nothing but potential and a dream board. I didn't reply, didn't call, didn't text. I just left one comment. "Happy for you." No period. No emoji. Just 4 words. Then I logged out and went for a walk. The thing is, she wasn't wrong about some of it. I had failed. My startup folded last year after I spent 3 years and every dime I had building it. The pandemic crushed our investor pipeline. Clients bailed. I'd gone from tech hopeful to unemployed in less than 6 months. But what she failed to mention was the part where I carried her while she built her brand. I coded her first website. I filmed and edited her skincare tutorials. I stood in line at events just to get her brand placements. None of that was in her little glow-up monologue. And yet, I didn't want revenge. I didn't even want an apology. I just wanted to be left alone. But that video, that changed everything. Because in her desperate attempt to publicly belittle me, Sloane forgot one crucial thing: the internet never forgets. And in that perfectly lit clip, if you looked past the sarcasm, you could see exactly where she was, the counter behind her, the branded shelves, the exclusive product line she was never supposed to film at work. I recognized it immediately. Not just because I'd been there, but because I was the one who told her, months ago, that filming on the job could get her fired. She laughed at me then, just like she laughed at me now. But this time I didn't laugh back. I just opened my laptop and started remembering things. Long before she turned me into a punchline, I had front row seats to Sloane Barrett's rise and the cracks beneath it. When we met, she was working retail at a high-end skincare boutique in downtown Denver, barely making rent but dreaming big. She had this raw charisma, a way of speaking like every word mattered. Back then, she'd talk about wanting to build a platform for women's confidence, but what she really wanted was to be seen. Not just by me, by everyone. I was working on a wellness app at the time. It tracked daily habits, sleep cycles, journaling, stuff I built for people like her. She was my first beta user. She didn't get the tech, but she got the vision. I was the coder in a hoodie. She was the face in a camera. It made sense. For a while, we were good together. I remember when she got her first brand deal, $500 for an Instagram story about a vitamin-infused face mist. You'd think she won the lottery. She ran around our apartment holding her phone, filming takes in every corner of the living room. "This is it," she said, eyes glowing. "This is the start." And it was. From there came more deals, more freebies, more followers. She quit her job part-time, then altogether. I helped build her site, linked her e-store, even made graphics for her email blasts, my laptop, my software, my time. At first I didn't mind. That's what love looks like, being in someone's corner when no one else is. But as her numbers climbed, the dynamic changed. She stopped introducing me as her boyfriend. I became a friend who does tech stuff. She started telling followers she built everything from scratch, all self-taught. The girl who once clung to me at networking events now scanned rooms for people with bigger platforms. The jokes started subtly. "You're still working on that app?" she'd ask, smirking. "You know you don't need to suffer to be impressive, right?" Or, babe, I love that you dream big, but maybe it's time to pivot. I'd laugh it off, but every word cut deeper. She'd pose in $1,000 outfits, tagged gifted, while I skipped lunch to stretch what little savings I had left. I sold my gaming console and took freelance gigs just to stay afloat. She knew that, but didn't care. As long as her packages arrived on time and her followers kept growing, everything else was background noise. Then came the moment I couldn't shake. It was a Sunday. We were at her store after hours. She'd left her charger and asked me to drive her. As she walked in, she casually slipped a few items into her tote. "You're just taking that?" I asked, stunned. She scoffed. "It's nothing. We do this all the time. Half this inventory's from PR anyway." "You're still on the clock, Sloan. You can't just take things." Her answer was as smug as her TikTok voiceover. "They owe me. I sell more in a day than the store does in a week. I should have said more. I should have drawn the line. But instead, I let it go, just like I let the other red flags go, the way she manipulated people to get what she wanted, the way she never said thank you unless it was in front of a camera, the way everything she touched somehow became a reflection of her, and nothing more. When she left me 3 months later, she didn't cry. She didn't even explain. She just said, "We're not aligned anymore," as if I was some outdated subscription. And maybe I was, but even back then, I never imagined she'd go this far. Not until she filmed that TikTok. Not until she went viral for dragging me while standing in a place she had no business recording from. She thought I'd be too embarrassed to fight back. She forgot who helped her build the illusion in the first place. And I was about to remind her. The TikTok didn't die down. It snowballed. Within days, it was stitched by lifestyle creators, mocked in parodies, and clipped into YouTube commentary videos. Her followers doubled. A podcast even featured her as a guest under the title "Leaving Losers Behind, a Viral Queen's Story." I listened to the entire thing, earbuds in, not out of pain anymore, but curiosity. She called me a chapter, described our relationship as a cautionary tale about attaching yourself to people with no drive. There was laughter, applause. She sounded like she had already forgotten I existed, but what she forgot was that I had watched her entire ascent from the unfiltered ambition to the blurred lines between influence and ethics. She lived online, but the real world has rules, and in her hunger to be seen, she made a mistake. I went back to the TikTok, watched it again, not as her ex, but as someone who knew how metadata and timestamps worked. I paused the frame and zoomed in. The backdrop? The high-end skincare boutique in Cherry Creek. She was on the floor behind the counter. She even tagged the brand in the caption. And the product she flashed for just a second? A sold-out limited edition serum I knew had gone missing from the store months earlier. I remembered because she bragged about grabbing it before anyone noticed. She'd filmed it during her shift. I opened a new folder on my desktop and titled it SB Incident. It started as a gut-level response, not revenge, documentation. I had no intention of going public. But if she wanted to destroy my name online, I wasn't going to leave myself defenseless. I began collecting screenshots of the video, comments confirming she was at work, photos she'd posted before that day in the same uniform, angles, tags, times. Then I dug through our old shared drives. Years ago, I'd uploaded backups of videos I edited for her. One stood out, a behind-the-scenes vlog where she casually joked about grabbing free samples before they hit the shelves. She'd laughed. So had I, but now, it was incriminating. Still, I needed confirmation. I called Ethan, an old friend of ours who still worked retail, same chain, different city. I kept it vague. Off the record, if someone filmed content behind the register during hours with product placement, what happens? He didn't hesitate. Immediate review, probably suspension, depends on the footage. And if someone has already been flagged for missing inventory, termination, maybe even a police report. Bingo, I crafted an email, not dramatic, no bitterness, just facts, addressed to the company's loss prevention department and regional manager. I didn't mention we dated. I simply included the footage, dates, social media links, and screenshots with a note stating I believed the employee was violating brand policy and possibly committing theft. I even highlighted the product SKU that was missing in one of her older posts. Then I hit send. No fanfare, no hashtags, no public expose, and most importantly, no warning to her. Because while Sloan lived for spectacle, I'd always believed in silence as strategy. 2 days passed, then 5. Then on the 7th day, her TikTok disappeared. No explanation, no follow-up, no sassy update video, it was just gone. The comments started turning. People noticed the wipe. Where's the viral vid? One asked. Why'd she delete it? Another asked. She stayed quiet, but she couldn't delete fast enough. Archive bots had copies, commentary channels clipped it, Then came the real shift. A skincare gossip page on Instagram posted a blind item. Which influencer lost a major brand deal after being caught stealing product from her own employer on camera? People guessed, and guessed right. I sat there, watching it all unfold, sipping the same black coffee she once called depressing. I hadn't raised my voice, I hadn't clapped back, I had simply held up a mirror and watched her reflection do the rest. By the end of the second week, her entire online presence started to decay, quietly, but unmistakably. One by one, her brand posts were removed. The collagen drink sponsor she once pinned to her profile vanished. Her Instagram stories shifted from bubbly routines to vague reposts about privacy, mental health, and starting over. The tone had changed. The ring light was still on, but the spark was gone. People noticed. Not just followers, corporate eyes, industry folks. Sloane had built her image on being polished, in control, unstoppable. But influence is a delicate currency, and in a market built on trust, even a whiff of dishonesty spreads like rot. Her silence did more damage than any call-out could. She didn't explain, she didn't deny, she just started deleting. Then came the kicker. A former manager from the skincare store posted anonymously on a retail worker subreddit. It didn't name her directly, but it might as well have. Had to terminate a high-profile employee recently. Filmed TikToks at the register. Inventory issues. Corporate found out after a customer flagged the video. Loss prevention got involved. Police report filed. Whole thing blew up fast. That post went viral too. It became the story, the fall of a curated life, undone by vanity and entitlement. I didn't have to say a word. I had no need to throw dirt. The algorithm did it for me. I got a text from a mutual acquaintance. "Dude, you saw what happened, right? That's karma in 4K. I didn't reply. What was there to say? I'd already said everything I needed to with 4 words. Happy for you. Meanwhile, my life ironically began to steady. I wasn't making headlines, but I was making progress. I picked up a consulting contract with a digital wellness firm, ironically one I pitched to last year, who'd initially passed. They reached out after seeing my updated portfolio on LinkedIn, which I'd quietly refreshed the week after Sloane's video went viral. I moved out of the sublet and into a clean, minimalist studio on the edge of downtown. Nothing flashy, but mine, paid for with quiet hours of work, no followers required. My morning routine no longer involved checking views or engagement. I drank my bitter coffee in peace. I slept better. I even started reading again. But the irony, the perfect cold symmetry of it all, was that Sloane had tried to brand me as a failure in front of 2 million strangers, and in doing so she'd uploaded the very footage that proved her own guilt. She gave them the evidence. She pressed upload. She framed it as a joke. And the joke turned out to be on her. Some nights I'd open my email just to check if she'd said anything. She hadn't, but the silence was telling. Not even a half-hearted "sorry you felt attacked" message, just digital dust. I didn't need revenge. Not really. What I needed was to be seen for who I truly was. Someone who never needed to scream back to win. Someone who could let the truth do the talking. In a world that feeds on instant reaction, I'd taken my time. She gave the performance. I just closed the curtain. And for once the internet applauded the quiet one. A month after the dust had settled, I received an email from a name I hadn't seen in my inbox since before the breakup. Sloane Barrett. No subject line. Just a message that read, "Hey, can we talk? Off the record." There was no apology, no explanation, just that vague, weightless reach people make when their world starts slipping and they think you might be the one lifeline left. I didn't respond. I didn't even flinch. I just moved the email into a folder I labeled closure and kept scrolling. She never followed up. By then she'd been dropped by all her major sponsors. Her account still existed, but most of her posts were gone. The ones that remained were stripped of likes and comments, as if waiting to be wiped clean. The woman who once curated her life to perfection now looked like a ghost of her own feed. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a finger. Her fall wasn't orchestrated by me. It was authored by her own ego. The same ego that told her she could mock me without consequence. The same ego that couldn't imagine someone like me, quiet, steady, invisible, could ever be the one to turn the tide. That's what people like her never understand. They chase attention like it's currency. They think being loud is the same as being powerful. But real power, real revenge, it doesn't shout, it waits. I forwarded all my evidence to a lawyer, just in case, not to sue, but to protect myself. If she tried to spin the story, rewrite it, paint herself as the victim, I'd be ready. But she didn't. Because the thing about narcissists is they only speak when they're winning. When they lose, they disappear. Quiet isn't their language. I took it as a gift. By then, I had signed a new full-time deal as a UI/UX lead for a mental wellness platform. I was doing work that mattered again, building something from the ground up, without begging for likes or followers. I met new people, joined a local climbing gym, stopped flinching when someone mentioned her name. I even started dating again, not out of spite, but because I'd stopped carrying her shadow into every room I walked into. 6 months later, I was invited to speak at a digital ethics panel at a small tech conference. The topic: virality and accountability in the age of influence. I couldn't help but laugh. The universe has a way of tying up loose ends when you learn to let go of the rope. After the panel, a startup founder approached me. She'd heard about my old app, the one I'd buried under months of shame after it failed. She liked the idea, said it was ahead of its time, asked if I'd ever considered revisiting it. Funny how the world starts opening up when you stop chasing people who closed the door on you. Later that night, I walked home through downtown. The city was alive. Couples laughing outside bars, headlights reflecting off wet pavement, a street performer playing some forgotten jazz tune I didn't recognize. I stopped at a coffee cart, ordered my usual, and checked my phone. No new messages from her. Just a couple of texts from new colleagues, a thank you from the panel organizer, and a calendar ping for a pitch meeting next week. I looked up at the skyline, tired, content, alive. They say success is the best revenge, but they're wrong. Peace is, and I finally had it. Not because I won, but because I stopped needing her to lose.